All right, so here is a 2020 BMW X3M competition with the s58 engine. Has a drivetrain malfunction light. Most likely it's going to be the spark plugs based on how it sounded. The check engine light was flashing multiple times, which indicates misfire. So to put this car into diagnostic mode, which is like key on, engine off, you have to press the start button 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And then the diagnostic mode will pop up on the main screen, and that's key on, engine off. You plug it in your scan tool to the bottom left-hand side of your foot area, so you see it right there. So the codes that came back, most of them were for the misfire. It had other codes, but one code can trigger other codes to come on. So you can see there's multiple misfires. So you always start with the small and then go from there. So I'm going to show you guys how to change the spark plugs in this case. If you're having a misfire, you always start with the spark plugs. If it's one specific cylinder, then it could be a coil pack. Okay, now the fun part starts. You have to take out the air box in order to get access to the coil packs. In order to do that, we got to take out all the plastics. The easy part is these two little tabs on the driver and passenger side. They have an unlock and lock position. Twist it left or right. Right for unlock, left to lock. Then you just pick up on it. The whole thing will come out, no problem. And you're going to have to do the same thing on the passenger side. Take out all this plastic. And then you have the locking mechanism. Turn it to the right. Comes right out, no problem. Okay, there's a lot of these little plastic clips. You just have to pry up on the middle to unlock it, and then the whole thing will come out. If you're going to use pliers, don't squeeze hard because you'll cut it. So after you take out all the little plastic inserts, you have to take out both passenger and driver's sides. To remove these sensors, you just push up on it. It's held in by a metal clip with teeth. It's very hard to push off, so just use some force. To take out the washer fluid cap, you pull it towards you and upwards. You can also take out the plastic with it. It's just easier. You push down on the rubber to get the lid or the neck of the washer fluid reservoir out. After you remove the two plastic panels, you'll see the 4 bolts that you got to remove. It is a 13mm socket, driver side and passenger, 4 bolts. Once you remove that, the bar will just come straight up. There's nothing else you have to remove, just the bolts. After removing the bar, you have to remove the 4 pipes going into the intake box. It just takes a regular flathead. Don't need any specialty tool. Once you take all 4 of those off, all you have to do is pull up on the air box. The whole thing will come out. Just pull up on the front, back, all 4 corners. Now that we have the air box out, we can get to the fun part and removing all 6 coil packs. There's 6 sensors connected to the coil packs. I recommend using a flathead. It's the easiest way to do it. Cylinder number 6 in this case is going to be the hardest one to get to. Before in the s58 engine, you can remove the black cover over cylinder number 6, which gave you a whole lot of space. In this case, we don't have that option, as you can see. So it's going to be fun. To get space and access to cylinder number 6 spark plug, you have to remove the 2 E screws that are on top. It is a E7, I believe. Yeah, E7. And yes, the E7 socket to take that off. So once you remove those two screws, you will have to remove the socket or connector that is on your high pressure fuel pump. I did have to remove both in this case. I tried to do it with one hand, but it was very hard. You want to be very careful when you're removing these, because if you break them, it'll turn a simple job into a much more complicated one, and you want to make things as simple as possible. So take your time. It will take some time, and you're already there, so just be patient. After I was able to get the connector off of the high pressure fuel pump, I used a flathead to remove all of the clips on the ignition coils. Now, to remove the screws holding in the ignition coils, I believe it was a E3 or E4 socket. The tabs come right out. Once you unscrew it, you just pull right up on the ignition coil, it'll come out, and then you have access to your spark plugs. Now you need a spark plug socket tool. You do need a thin wall 14 millimeter. It could be any thin wall 14 millimeter. But in this case, you prefer magnetic, just so it pulls out the spark plug while you're removing it. Now we have it removed. Be very careful when you're reinstalling the spark plugs. You don't want to go through all this work and then have to tear it back apart because you didn't properly tighten. So tighten by hand first, and then snug with a wrench when you're finished. You don't have to over tighten. It's just like a drain plug. Just get it snug. We do not have a torque wrench in this set to set it to any specific torque specifications. Now, to do cylinder number 6, you have to put the socket and extension in separately. Then the wrench, it will not fit in together. This is the easiest way possible I've found to do cylinder number 6. When you try to do it while it's all connected, it's harder to fit everything in there and maneuver and wiggle. So if you put it in there separately, it will be much easier on your part to have that removed. Now that we finally got the last spark plug out, we can start to put everything back together. The connectors, the sensors, the E-screws, the ignition coil harness. Take your time, double check your work. Like I said, you do not want to have to take this all apart again. So just be careful, take your time, be patient. All right, all panels back on, covers back in, box back on, nice and tight. Going to the car now. Before I clear the code, I want to start it just to see if it has any vibrations. Wow, idle's holding nice. Check engine light went off by itself. I'm still gonna scan the codes just to make sure everything's good. Zero engine codes. There you go, all done. Back to normal. Good idle.